sure to mute everybody.
Yeah, yeah, we're live. We're live. So good morning, everyone. We are live from United International College, and we are here with Mayor Messam. He's the mayor of Miramar, our wonderful city of Miramar, and we are this morning talking about how the newly elected U.S. president is going to influence our business ecosystem of our local community. It's interesting because we don't know yet who the new president of the United States is going to be. So let's hear what Mayor Messam has to say about this topic. So Mayor Messam, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me and good morning, everyone. It's great to see everyone this bright, beautiful, wet Thursday morning here in the city of Miramar. I know we're streaming live internationally and just always great to work with United International College and all that you're doing in our community and preparing the next business leaders and leaders of our community, versus locally and nationally here in the great city of Miramar. You know, all of us have been, really paying attention to the results of the Tuesday's election. And that's what's so great about the United States, our democratic process to freely elect our president of the United States. Obviously, the entire world is watching the United States to see if President Trump will continue with 4 more years, or if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would be the new administration. Obviously, since the topic is talking about the influence of the newly elected president on our business ecosystem and locally, the federal government really has a big influence on our local markets. And in the city of Miramar, where we're the 13th largest city in the state of Florida, and we also have the most Fortune 500 companies than any city in all of South Florida. That includes Palm Beach County, Broward County, and Miami-Dade County. And folks are always either surprised or bewildered when they hear that fact. But it's really no surprise to us here in Miramar why Miramar is so attractive to many Fortune 500 companies. Obviously, South Florida is the gateway to the Americas in terms of travel, commerce, and trade, and our proximity to the Caribbean, Central America, and South America makes South Florida the gateway to the Americas. And when you think about Miramar, we're equidistant from both international airport, Fort Lauderdale International, and MIA. We're equidistant from the Port of Miami and Port Everglades, and we're literally 30 minutes from anywhere in South Florida. And we benefit from having the Turnpike and I-75 go right through the borders of our city. So distribution, access to a good quality of life, while access to trade and commerce makes Miramar such an attractive place. So of course, our corporate community is very interested in terms of who is the president of the United States, because the president of the United States is very active in setting policy, whether it's trade policy, whether it's immigration policy, whether it's tax and commerce policies and initiatives. So it's very important because as trade goes, so goes South Florida. Folks know South Florida as a tourist state in the city of Florida, but all of us who are here knows that business is big in terms of commerce to the Americas, South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. So we're very interested to see who is going to have the type of leadership that is going to be favorable for our ecosystem. The city of Miramar actually has for some time have had one of the fastest growing economies in America. So we are emerging our business sectors. Aviation is a large business sector. The biomedical field is growing in the city of Miramar, as well as distribution. So as we are aggressively working with our landlords and property owners to think about 20 years from now, what will our facilities need to look like? What will our roadways need to look like. So the new president has to be in alignment with our goals. The city and local governments, we have an extremely difficult time right now in Washington because of the division in Washington. A lot of policies and land breaking and landmark initiatives. We're still waiting on an infrastructure bill to come out of Washington. There's still disagreement between the Democrats and the Republicans. And we're looking for many policies and resources that will help the local community to invest in our infrastructure so that we can maintain strong roadways, so we can implement technology. 5G is growing and becoming the new way of communicating. And what's so dynamic about 5G and the gig economy, it's more than just talking on a cell phone. It's more than just getting on an instrument. Every device that we use, whether it's the cars that we drive, even our microwaves and our refrigerators at home, it's transmitting data. And data is important because data is used to make decisions. But who controls that data? What is the president's philosophy and policy position on access to data, access of competition to be able to utilize that data? So these are many things that most people don't think about, but it's very important. So as a city, we're thinking about how do we remain number one? How do we continue to attract these companies to come to the city of Miramar? So we are always working with Washington, our federal lobbyists, our congressional delegation to assist us in getting access to funding. We're actively sending resolutions to support House bills, Senate bills that will influence and help the city of Miramar and our region to be able to take care of ourselves. And obviously right now, I can't have this discussion without bringing up COVID-19. Mm-hmm. One of the big things that local governments have been asking for is direct funding from Washington to assist us in helping the community. The city of Miramar made available $1 million to small businesses to help them pay their rent, to help them pay their utility bills. When we as local government, following the CDC guidelines, said, shut down, you can't open, you can't operate. But yet, as a business owner, you have payroll to make, you have mortgage and rent to pay, and you have employees to keep employed. The first CARES Act issued money to local governments through the states or through the county. You had to have a population of over 500,000 residents. Believe it or not, even though South Florida is the most populous region in Florida, there's not one single municipality that has 500,000 residents because we're such a contiguous community. We're from one city to the next city. Miramar is 150,000 residents. So the money went to the counties. So now we're at the mercy of the state and the mercy of the county on how they're going to distribute that money. So we've been lobbying Washington to give direct funding to cities like Miramar. We know best how to help you, how to help our local businesses, how to be able to strengthen and get the resources for them to remain profitable and successful. So that's what we're looking for the next president to do, to be more accessible and more municipality friendly to local governments. So we're really looking towards working with whoever is going to be in Washington. We all may have our own individual preferences on which ticket we want to win, but we know that in South Florida, immigration is very important because we know that companies rely on good quality workers to work in the field. And we know that we are stronger as a community the more open we are, because the more talent and the more access we have to a diverse pool of talent, the better our companies are going to be, the better our city is going to be. I'm the son of immigrants. Many of you who are on this call are either first generation or you're immigrants yourselves. Some of you may have gone through the naturalization process to become citizens of the United States. Some may live here part-time and go back home, whether it's in South America, the Caribbean. You may have business in the United States, a business in Colombia or Brazil. We know that immigration is the secret sauce, so to speak, to South Florida because we are such a diverse community. So our business and ecosystem thrives on having a diversity, access to diversity of talent, access to diversity of thought as it relates to commerce. So we need to have a president who has policies that recognize what we need here in Miramar and South Florida so that we can continue to create an environment, have an environment for our local business community to be able to thrive. So at this time, I can speak on so many topics as it relates to that, but I want to provide an opportunity for some Q&A.
So let's go ahead and open the floor for Q&A. If any of our participants have any questions, this is the time to ask questions to Mayor Messam.
Mayor Messam, I mean, I've been watching this stuff since COVID started and we were all sheltering in place and things like that. And, you know, it dawned on me that the president is in Washington or wherever he's flying to and from. And he talked about PPE for all the different states and things like that. I mean, do you really think it's practical that the president himself will deal at the community level? I mean, there are thousands of communities in Florida alone. And I'm not trying to be a spoil sport or anything, but it's like, he's one man. It's like, he's got 52 governors. You know what I mean? It's like, how do you effectively communicate and decide and do things down to this community level, the city level, and be effective? You know what I mean? I mean, there are thousands of mayors like yourself.
Yeah. So your question is it reasonable to put an expectation on the president of the United States to effectuate the execution of, let's say in this case, COVID-19 PPE management?
No. I'm talking about anything. I'm talking about anything.
Well, I just use it as an example. You brought it up as an example, so I just use it as an example. Local governments, and myself as a mayor, we don't expect the president to do our job. Right. We know how to do our job.
Right.
What we are asking Washington to do is to be a partner in the process.
Right.
And the federal government is responsible for disease control.
Right.
When the federal government is responsible for the prevention of pandemic to spread or for viruses to spread. And when it does happen in this case, COVID-19 caught the world off guard. No one blames any president for COVID-19 for happening. But what we do expect is that the available resources are provided to the local government to be able to administer assistance and resources to our community.
But does he do that through the governor or does he do that through you directly? You know what I mean?
It depends. It depends. So the question is that for each federal government agency that has a respective responsibility, and in this case, for example, the CDC is to provide the medical information so that it can provide guidance to the state level, the county level, and the local level. Everyone is following CDC guidelines.
Right.
So if politics is impacting the science, then one has to question that. And I think it's without doubt, regardless of whatever side of the aisle that you're on, you saw politics being injected into science and recommendations from science. So as a mayor who is spending millions of dollars of our local tax dollars, which was meant to provide local protection, parks and recs, our utilities, keeping our streets clean, now having to be diverted to address pandemic issues. And Washington is not responding with the resources that we need. If you're saying Miramar, shut down because we cannot have people out in the community because the pandemic is going to spread, and you don't have the corresponding resources to help us prop up the economy that has to shut down because you said it had to shut down so it doesn't spread, then there's a disconnect. That is
Right.
where the leadership is failing us.
Right.
So as a local mayor, we're saying, we want to partner with you. Here is where we see issues and concerns on the local issues. These are the resources we need. Assist us. When we're not even saying fund all of it. We're saying give us some help. But when no help is coming, or it's very difficult to receive that help, that is where the failure takes place.
Right.
That was an excellent question, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, excellent. Great. Thank you so much for the clear response, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from our?
Yes, I have, if I may, as the reporters have two questions.
Yes, Jaime, go ahead.
Okay, the first question relates directly to COVID. I wanted you to expand, please, on what is the city doing or able to do as far as testing and rapid results, I would ask. And the second question relates to real estate, given the fact that all the commercial centers are so important to the economy of Miramar. Do you have access to information that, I don't know if you have it because it's mainly landlord information on issues with commercial space in the city?
Okay, two great questions. I'll take them one by one. COVID-19 and testing and the availability to be able to get testing. The city of Miramar, we were very aggressive on the onset of when COVID-19 hit. Personally, I was traveling from the Caribbean back to South Florida, and I thought it was peculiar on Valentine's weekend that on my airline application, when flying back to the United States, asked the question, had I traveled to China? Because obviously they were wanting to get some sense of those individuals who had access to Asia and China because of this virus. And I said, wow, this thing is really big. I'm here in the Caribbean coming to South Florida, and they're asking me about something way in China. So as soon as I got back, I got with our staff and said, listen, it seems like this COVID-19 may be an issue here in the United States. So I want us to put together a plan, an action plan in the event if this becomes a pandemic issue in the United States. By the end of the month, we already put together a COVID-19 task force for the city, which talked about how we would govern ourselves in terms of our facility, what resources we'll provide to the community, so to speak. It's basically, we're used to this type of emergency operations type of setup because we deal with hurricanes all of the time. So we issued an emergency order. It took us a while in regards to getting a testing site, but was finally able to get the governor's office to open up a testing site in Miramar, which we did at the Youth Enrichment Center back early in April. So we have a testing site in early April. It's totally free to the community. It's a walk-up site. We do the viral test as well as the antigen test at that site. I also worked with CVS to have a rapid testing site at one of their locations, which is off of Flamingo and Miramar Parkway, the CVS there. And we most recently opened up another testing site at Regional Park where residents can go and get tested. So as the mayor, on the onset of this virus, I knew that our business community, for those who are essential businesses and were open, needed to have the ability to have a convenient location for employees and our residents to be tested so that we could know our status. Because the goal was to kind of quarantine and isolate those individuals who were sick and keep them separated from the healthy community to prevent the spread. So in the city of Miramar, we have 3 convenient locations on the east, central, and west side of our community for our residents and business community to be tested. Real estate is really our crown jewel in the city of Miramar. The city of Miramar has we have millions of square feet of retail, office, and commercial flex space in the city of Miramar. That's why we're able to attract many companies, because we have the ability to house large number of individuals, and the space needs for for businesses in the city of Miramar. Our community development and economic development offices can assist investors, business owners as it relates to zoning in our city, the locations of types of real estate that's located in our city, and what business use can take place on a particular parcel. That is important information to know depending on the needs. For example, if you're a real estate commercial broker and you have clients that are looking for space in the city of Miramar, Miramar's community and development and zoning department is really a great place. A lot of people don't think about that. It's a great place to be able to understand what can be used beyond just your typical listing that will say what type of business use is office, industrial. That's just a title. But in terms of what you actually can do, people who want space, they have a particular business, they have a particular use, they have specific needs. One may be distribution, one may need some office, some may need some light manufacturing. You need to know which commercial parks are zoned for that. And you can get that information from the city of Miramar.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Good to see you again.
Same here.
I have a comment and a question for you, Mayor, and thank you for being with us. I see 3 of my students are on here, and one of the classes that I'm teaching this term is customer service. How important it is to sell your business, whether product or service. And one of the things that you have that gravitates people to you as a representative and as a sales agent of the city is your smile. And that's one of the things we say, okay? Smile, greet the customer. So thank you for that. My question to you is, how does ending the census affect Miramar?
Well, because of the pandemic, it definitely hampered the activities and what was able to be done in terms of ensuring households and individuals were counted. We had hoped that the census would be able to go through October, which was the thought, but the Supreme Court stepped in and said that the government, the federal government, could end the census. The goal is, and why the census is so important, is that the census provides federal resources to across the country based on your population, and it's resources what the funding funds is. It funds roadways, hospitals, schools, many infrastructure projects, and it's a way to equitably distribute federal dollars across the country. And if you are undercounted, then you don't necessarily get the amount of funding you should be getting or what you are entitled to per your population size. So for example, we anticipate Miramar's population to be around 150 after this count. But we had about a 72% response rate, which was slightly higher than 10 years prior. However, if our count comes back to 150,000, we're probably somewhere around 160, 165, and we would be, even though we are providing services for our actual population size, but we're only getting funding for 80% of our population, if that makes sense. So that's why it's so important that all of our cities our individuals are counted. And sometimes, especially being in South Florida, where we have a very large immigration population, and it's no secret that no matter where you are in the country where there's a large immigrant population, there is going to be some small fractions of the community who may be here out of status. So there may be some concerns about being counted if that information is shared, and we all know what's concerns that can drive. So there may be some households that may not necessarily count every person that is in that house. But however, the city of Miramar is expected to continue to keep our roadways clean, operable, our utilities up and running, and providing services to the community. So that's why we we ask. And by by constitution authority, that information isn't shared across federal agencies. So we know that sometimes that might be a trust factor in terms of the population. But that's why the census is so important.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mayor, for your response. Now we have Professor De Velasco, who also has a question.
Good morning, Mayor Messam.
Morning.
Thank you very much for being here with us. I have a question, though, in regards to the policy for China. We don't know, we don't know which will be the winning candidate for the presidency of the United States. But in your opinion, and considering that actually we have the American people being spoiled, but sometimes paying cheap products that come from China, especially in online markets and different places like Walmart or Amazon, for example. What do you think will be the impact based on the president that might win this election in regards to the policies with China and the impact that that would cause in the economy in the United States or maybe in Miramar as well?
Yeah, well, and that's where the rubber hits the road. As consumers, we want to pay the very least as possible for the best product that we can get, right? And in a vacuum, that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. So in terms of a policy that I think that the next president should have is that it should be a policy that fosters open but fair trade between the two nations and the economies. I think that the United States must stand firm and aggressive to protect intellectual property, where we do know that on occasion that on maybe several occasions where Chinese companies or even maybe the Chinese government allows the blatant violation of not only copyright but patents without compensation. They may counterfeit technology from other nations, including proprietors from the United States, and especially on the technology realm. And not only is it an issue as it relates to how it impacts American businesses, but it can also be a national security issue because if certain products from China that are controlled by the Chinese government, you don't know what may be in that technology and how it could infiltrate, our society, our infrastructure. So those are some things that there's a balance between. And I think that as more educated as we are as American consumers and knowing the sourcing of our products and wanting to support American, but you also still want to benefit from the advantage of competition and ingenuity. And I think though that if I would say that the next president definitely must have a professional and direct and clear trade policy with China, because it's going to impact us locally, especially in an area like South Florida, where we are importing and exporting goods and where we're quite frankly competing against China. So we have to strike that balance. We're not going to allow you to steal our intellectual property and get away with it. But we don't want to necessarily have an adversarial relationship with China. I think that there's a way that we can coexist. I think that both economies are interdependent upon one another. I think if the US market is shut off from China, it could have devastating impacts to China. And vice versa, if the Chinese marketplace and the access to Chinese products that are fair and good products and playing by the rules, that's what, at the end of the day, everyone needs to play by the rules. And when one side takes advantage of the rules and it becomes lopsided, then it's not really a fair relationship.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, do we have any other questions for the
Mayor, Mayor, I have a question about, and it kind of tags on to Jamie's commercial real estate situation. I mean, we are now 15 or so people talking to each other on Zoom from our respective locales, home or maybe an office. And since the pandemic, obviously Zoom, if I had the stock when it first started, I would retire now, but that's neither here nor there. But now Microsoft has a platform, everybody has a platform for webinars and interactive doing business. Do you think, and are you hopefully planning what possibly might be a downturn in commercial property, use of commercial property? Again, depending on what kind of business it is. If office business, if it's manufacturing, of course, they got to be on site and things like that. Warehousing has to be on site. But intellectual or office type business, financial, things like that, that might impact the occupancy of, and I know Miramar, thank God, has a great commercial tract versus all the other cities that are right around it. But it's like, to me, that would be a worry or a concern, because people have learned that they don't need the real estate. And some of the buildings, and maybe the big buildings in Fort Lauderdale or Aventura, I'm sure those commercial managers are biting their nails, wondering about the kind of footprint reduction that each company now knows that they can, you know what I mean?
Yeah, So that's a very good question, and I invite you to view my State of the City address if you haven't had an opportunity to see it yet. I did last Thursday.
Okay.
It's available on our city's Facebook page, and you can definitely take a look at the link.
Great.
You can go to my Mayor Wayne M. Messam page on Facebook and find the link as well. But now, one of the benefits, or not necessarily, I guess benefit isn't the best word. One of the circumstances of capitalism is survival of the fittest, right? So those who are able to adapt, those who are able to adjust to market conditions, regulatory conditions, they are going to be the ones to thrive. So one man's loss or one woman's loss is another man's gain or another woman's gain. So being able to forecast, to think, and sometimes even a little luck, determines who is the fittest. So as it relates to real estate will always be a commodity or an asset that is needed. Regardless, you're going to need space to conduct business. Right now, the concern is our current real estate stock and inventory, and the occupancy of that inventory right now is going to be impacted. There's going to be some shuffling. There's going to be some attrition. And we all are going to have to go through the pains of that momentum and that shift. So you're going to have a business that needed on a regular 100,000 square feet under pre-COVID conditions. Now, all of a sudden, they still need a space, but they don't need 100,000 anymore, because now they're seeing that, wow, we can still be effective. In fact, even more effective by utilizing and supplementing mediums like Zoom, WebEx, right? So to conduct our business, we can reduce our overhead, reduce our expenses, be more nimble, be more efficient, and more profitable. So our next lease, we're going to downsize 25% and go down to 75,000 square feet. So now they may leave your property and find another property that's more fitting, and so on and so forth. Now with CDC guidelines having 6 feet distance, you may have a law firm that is like, wow, we have 30,000 square feet of office downtown Fort Lauderdale, and we've been working, you know what? We actually need more space because we're too close. Our cubicles are too close. We need more space for each other. So there's a shifting that takes place. Now, I'm in my private life, I'm a general contractor. I also do some real estate investment as well. And you have to study these trends in these markets. So for example, there's certain sectors, everything is cyclical. There are certain sectors that are more impacted than others. Like right now, hospitality is taking a hit because a lot of people are not traveling. There's not as much business travel anymore. There aren't as many hotel stays anymore. So you have to really think about, okay, well, how will the hotel industry shift? Or if I'm a real estate commercial professional, how can I assist a struggling hotel? How can that hotel be repurposed? What type of use, other use that can take place, in these spaces? So it's about the individual and those who can think creatively to adjust to market conditions to help address a need. Or perhaps maybe this hotel is going to go down. It's a great facility, but you know what? How about I identify another flag that would love to be in Miramar, but the courtyard is going out because business travel. Maybe there's another leisure travel, or maybe there's another type of hotel occupant that can move into the space, and maybe I can facilitate that transaction or help that property owner get another flag to swap from business travel to leisure travel. So it's thinking from that standpoint. So at the end of the day, you can sit back under challenging times and say, oh, woe me, what am I going to do? Or sit back, be calm, listen to the experts. If you're an expert yourself, networking with other experts and seeing how you can come up with solutions to adapt and to take advantage in certain market or environmental or regulatory changes and shifts so that you can thrive.
Thank you so
Thank you very much.
much.
Thank you.
Mayor Messam, definitely very inspirational. And yes, definitely we're going through a crisis that it requires innovation, creativity, and it's a total paradigm shift where we all need to adapt. So we're going to have our president, Lidia Bautista, who is going to address you. You're muted. Unmute your microphone.
Mayor, while she's unmuting, do you have any plans for 2022? I hope you don't have to answer now, but I hope you're thinking about it.
Well, we'll see. I'm not sure,
Okay.
we'll see.
Sorry
That's a
about
great
that. Good
question. I
morning,
get it a lot,
everyone.
and we'll
Mr.
see. I
Wen,
don't know.
thank you for being here. I have to say that Unilatina has been at the city of Miramar for the last 10 years. And the relationship with the city of Miramar have been excellent since you were the mayor. The warm relation that you have with the community make people work better with the city. And that is a thing that we appreciate a lot, because many times when we need the support of the city of Miramar, you were there. And also was amazing when sometimes suddenly you show up into our business, and that maybe no one did it before. And I have to say that you have been a really amazing, good mayor for the city. And I appreciate in the name of our business. Also, I want to ask you, what is the project that have with the area that are involved in the city of Miramar in the Everglades? We are going to protect that land, or what is the idea with that area that is a good area for the city?
So the Everglades, actually Miramar's border stops just east of US 27. So so what's west of US 27 is the Everglades, which is unincorporated Broward County, which is protected land. So, there can't be any development out in the Everglades. There is some undeveloped land east of US 27 that comes to eastward towards Sunset Lakes, and there's some, it's owned, most of it is owned by the South Florida Water Management District, which serves as some mitigation banks where developers have purchased to transfer, instead of putting lakes or canals in a development, they purchase credits in the mitigation bank because that area where the developer is trying to develop already has sufficient water management infrastructure in place. So most of that land is owned by the South Florida Water Management District, which won't be developed. There are some tracts of land that is owned by master, let's say, large property owners or developers that could potentially seek rezoning to do developments, but that would have to go through a public inspection and a public zoning process to take place. So much of that land is either protected or owned by the water management district.
Okay, so our time has concluded for our networking breakfast. We appreciate so much having Mayor Messam with us this morning and for sharing your experience and your wisdom with all of us, and especially for your inspiration. I think that we all agree that these are times where some of us have found a little challenging, but adaptability is really important. So thank you so much for being with us, and let's see what the future has for us, and let's just be ready to face whatever we all have to face, and let's just keep thriving. And just, it's important for us to just be a strong community and just keep developing, and that's what we do for all of us, for our students, as leaders of the community. And it's very important for us to have a mayor like you who leads the community as you do. So thank you to all our business leaders, to our students, to our faculty members, to our UIC president, to our Mayor Messam, and thank you so much for this wonderful morning, and let's see what happens this week. So thank you, everyone.
All right, take care, and God bless you all, and good luck to everyone.
Thank
God
you,
bless.
Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you next month.
So long, Jack,
Bye.
Marcella. So long.
Thank you.
So long,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you. Thank you.